Okay, today we're going to talk about dark matter. Why are we going to talk about that? Because the other day on one of the social platforms, I said, "Hey, I am a scientist. I don't really talk about that as much as some people would, but people get a chance to never get a chance to really ask an actual scientist anything." So I figured, hey, PhD in physics, I'll give it a shot. And some great questions came in. Today, the big one I want to try to answer is, what the hell is dark matter? Have we ever found it? Well, the big answer is no, we haven't found it. There were some claims that said, yeah, it's out there. We found it. Finally, see, look, but it's an indirect measurement, and that's not really a direct observation. It's like, well, it had this effect on something else. Therefore, we kind of observed that it had that effect and must be dark matter because we don't really know what it was, and it might be that. So we want it to be so that I can go win the Nobel Prize. Okay. But where the hell did the idea for this stuff come from? Well, a while back, there was this guy named Fritz Zwicky who made some observations and said, hey, gravity's not working the way we think it should. So we've really only found about like 7 to 9% of the matter in the universe. And where the hell's the rest of it? It must be the stuff called dark matter and then dark energy. And he did a bunch of math that said, hey, it fits. And a lot of people went, hey, Fritz, you're right. Well, but who the heck is Fritz? Nobody's ever heard of Fritz but scientists, right? So that's Fritz Zwicky. He was a Caltech professor. The reason nobody's ever heard of him is because he wasn't really well liked, right? So he worked around the time of Einstein and Bohr and some of the greats that everybody has heard of. But Fritz was off by himself and nobody really talks about him, even though he discovered some amazing things, dark matter, neutron stars. He did all kinds of interesting astrophysical things. And he even had some work on the Genesis takeoff pack. He did some things for the Navy. But when I say Fritz wasn't liked, I mean Fritz was an asshole. Okay. Just the biggest kind of scientific dick you ever saw. That little tiny man actually, according to stories, almost attacked Admiral Nimitz when the two had a little disagreement. Nimitz, big, that guy, big. That's how much of a dick he was. So this is Fritz when he's in a good mood. Fritz is kind of like, okay, fine, I'm here, I'm fine, whatever. Fritz normally, according to people, I never met him, but I know some people that did. Fritz normally is more like this. And the reason he's doing this is not a white power sign. He used to call, there were 3 kinds of people in Fritz's life, only 3. People who, if they did what he told them to and they didn't ask questions and they were polite, those people were okay. If you did what he told you to and you asked questions, you were a bastard. If you didn't do what he told you to immediately and fast enough, or you argued with him, you were a spherical bastard. And that's the little hand symbol he's still holding up. And why spherical bastard? Somebody asked Fritz one day. Well, because according to Fritz, no matter what angle you look at that person from, they're still a bastard. So he had this little saying, he would call people spherical bastards. That was Fritz. That was Fritz all the time. Nobody liked this guy, but he was one of the best scientific minds of the previous century. So he is not very well known, but he was the guy that brought us dark matter. Now, back to the point of what is dark matter and have we found it? Well, dark matter is really sort of the stuff we've come up with to kind of say, hey, look, we don't know where all the matter in the universe is, or our gravity equations are wrong. So it must be dark matter or dark energy, because we did a bunch of math, making a bunch of assumptions that say, hey, is it there? Is it not there? And one of the leading researchers that I ever met, I used to drink beer with him when I was still in Boston, is a guy named Peter Fisher, who is or was the department chair at MIT, Department Chair of Physics. And I used to pick on him because he was trying to detect a type of dark matter called weakly interacting massive particles, which the acronym is WIMPs. And he's on a college campus at MIT trying to find WIMPs. And well, the joke writes itself. So it, do we know what it is? No, we don't really know what it is. Could we be completely wrong and all of our math is incorrect, and someday we'll figure out what we screwed up? Very possibly. Is dark matter real? Very possibly. Is dark energy real? Very possibly. Could it be the secret to us traveling between stars with some kind of warp or faster than light thing? Maybe. But the answer is we still don't really know. And the point to bringing this up, and the reason I kind of wanted to sort of make light of this with Spherical Bastards and Fritz, is to realize that scientists don't actually understand absolutely. There's a lot of shit out there left to discover. We know a lot about the world that we have observed so far. We know a lot about how things work. We know a lot about how to build an experiment to go off and test a hypothesis, and we can design science and engineering projects and, artificial intelligence and all that. We can get all that stuff to work, but there's still a whole lot of stuff we don't know. And every time we think we do know everything, along comes somebody that shows us we didn't. And that's kind of what went on in the early part of the 20th century with Einstein and Bohr and of the dawn of the nuclear age as all that was going on. And Fritz was part of that mixture. So, what is dark matter? Like, short answer is we don't really know. Long answer is there's about 80 books on the subject, and you can find a lot of, well, if we make these assumptions, it's this. If we make those assumptions, it's that. The trouble I have as a scientist is I don't like assumptions. I like things that I can prove. I like things I can say, this is how it works. And I get it. I worked in nanotechnology where that shit is all weird, but dark matter is just one of those things that we're going to argue over for probably another 30 years. And at some point, somebody's going to make a massive breakthrough and just solve the whole thing. I don't know who that's going to be. Certainly not going to be me. But maybe there's a grad student out there today that'll be the one that cracks it. So I know that didn't clear anything up, but I wanted to tell the story of the guy that actually sort of found the stuff, Fritz Zwicky and his Spherical Bastards. And I hope that phrase catches on. Everybody have a great day.